Hi, hello everyone. This is the review video for the third week, and here on the right are some of the things I want to talk about. Oopsies. We have just a quick review of arithmetic operators. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I think you guys have pretty much gotten the idea of it. One thing that we didn't talk about was too much was characters themselves. Because we ran into our first method that used a character, char@, it's a string method, I want to give you a little background, and we didn't have time in the class, so I'll do that here. Methods and objects, very important, and then go through these string methods to make sure you understand what they do, because these are the most common ones, sort of. Last thing we didn't get to was scanner. This is very interesting, and we'll definitely go over it next week, but I want to give an introduction especially so you could do some of the homework, where you basically it accepts user input. So when you run the program, instead of just having it do its thing, you type in a number or type in something on the keyboard, press enter, and then it does something based off of what you typed in. So we're getting closer to automation and computers being able to do what you tell it. First of all, as far as the arithmetic operators go, I basically got the sense that you knew what everything did. The integer division, it just drops the remainder altogether. The modulus operator will actually take the remainder. Remember that the modulus, some of you were figuring this out, when you have a smaller number, if you have something like, let's just extend this, you have 6 mod, or if you have x mod y, we like to be general here, right? If x is greater than, if x is less than y, then the result will equal x. That will always be true. It's not necessarily true if x is greater than y. It will not necessarily equal y. But this will be always true because x divided by y will be 0, and then you'll just take the remainder. So keep this in mind. If x is less than y, then when you mod them, the result will always be x. For example, I think we did this example, 3 mod 4. 3 is less than 4. That's going to equal 3. Whoopsies. It's going to equal 3. Alright. Let's delete that. So you have that. I want to reiterate the importance of, bring this back, on this slide right here, the fact that just doing these operators, oops, I guess I'm in presentation mode, I can't click. Alright, doing these operators right here, if you follow my mouse, will not necessarily store a value anywhere. So you can do them n plus 10, cool, right, but you didn't store the value anywhere. You either have to say, over on the right here, n equals n plus 10, meaning now you stored n plus 10 into the variable, so you've stored it somewhere, now you can retrieve it. Or you just say system.out.println, whoops, and then you just print n plus 10. That's fine. The alternative, if you said n equals n plus 10, then you would just have to print n, if you'd said this line before. Alright, so I know some of you were like, well, this is not working, math.pow 2, 3, it's not doing anything. Well, that's because you have to print it out, right? Or if you said math.pow a, b, you have to have declared a and b first, right? Or int a equals 2 and b equals 4, right? It's 2 to the 4th, 16, right? One thing you don't do, this is very important because I'm spending a lot of time. One thing you do not do is declare things again. Okay, I know I had this on I had it somewhere on the slides, and that's not that was not incorrect. That was to show you that math.pow is a function that takes an integer, two integers, right? So when you look at things in the Java API, right, the link that had all the classes and all the information there, it'll tell you very generally what kind of things it takes. So you're not literally going to write in A and B. It's like in A could be 2, so you'd say math.pow 2, 3. These are both integers, right? You would not do 2.3, or actually no, it probably has a double option as well. But if it only had an int, you would not do this. Something like that. And this, I don't know if that'll work in NetBeans, so we can try it. But then this would look like double A, double B, because you use two doubles. And it's quite possible that math.pow has an option, has this, and the option for integer. But it will, on the Java API, it will have both of these lines. It would show you both of these things. So it would show you both of these lines, and so you'd know that it can accept both. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say for that. So characters, yes. Characters are pretty unique because they are basically integers, which is not really, you know, when you think of a character, you think of a letter, you basically think of a string, but characters are a little different than strings. Strings can be one character long. That doesn't make it a character, that it's still a string. And oh, and so characters, we'll get to the character page. Oh, here we go. Are denoted by single quotation marks. I don't know if you remember that. I think we mentioned it once, but it's not. But it's important. If you do double quotation marks, if you wrote this over here, this would be a string, even though it's one character long. Okay. And you can write any sort of character. You can write like number. You can write like this. Right. That's a string. That would be a character. Here goes single quotes. Now, what is the difference? Why would you want to use a character? Well, one thing, character is a primitive type, takes up less memory, but of course you're probably not interested in that. The main difference is that it can be acted like an integer. So, for example, a equals 65. Well, what the heck does that even mean? I thought a equals a, right? Well, that's when you have to look at the ASCII table. And the ASCII table, dynamic. Nope, I don't want that. There we go. There it is. So if you see this, it's not too blurry. You basically have, don't worry about the hexadecimal, octagonal, and binary. You can just look at the decimal and you see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's increasing. And so basically what this is, it's a table of characters that are assigned to numbers. Okay? And that's what I mean when it says character is a number. Well, say the character 9 is assigned to the decimal number 57, and the hexadecimal number 39, right? So if you look at the letter A, what will that print? Well, that will print 65. If you can see that. And that's just because computers can't read letters, they can only read numbers. In fact, they can only read binary, but if it's eventually translated into numbers. And so when the early systems programmers created computers, they had to have a way to type out text and communicate with the user, and they did it the ASCII table. So, knowing that, what are the outputs of the following code snippets? So, print line A. We can do this right now, actually. NetBeans up here. And I'm in a test package and class. And remember, you don't want to delete these brackets. Some of you were accidentally deleting them or were not coding in the correct brackets. So it's actually very important to make sure that these surround whatever you're supposed to be coding. Most of your coding is going to be right here in this main method. And that's why I suggest these brackets used to be like this. I suggest bring them down so you can see evenly. And then especially with the indent, you can definitely see really clearly. Especially when you're a beginner, it helps to see the organizational structure and what the brackets actually contain. So, what we're going to do, we're going to do system.out, print line. Java's kind of annoying like that. It makes you wait a lot to print something. And then we wanted to print A. Actually, we'll just do capital. Alright, what's this going to print? Let's run it, see what it does. And right now, I cannot get. Oh, okay. Hold on. Alright, so here we go. We have an A here, and that's sort of expected, right? We printed out the character. So Java, when you just say print line, it just assumes what you want. So it's going to assume you just want the character. If you wanted the actual integer, I don't know, you'd be able to do it. Just research how to do it. I'm not sure how to do it. I've never had to do it. But okay, next one. Let's do A plus B. What's this going to be? $131. All right, so this is a number. Why is this a number? Well, because you can't actually concatenate characters like you can strings. If this were a, oh, by the way, I found something really nice. I don't know about Macs, but on Windows, whoa, Alt scroll wheel. I'm using a mouse right now. You can zoom it in, so if you're having trouble seeing, there you go. Excellent. So if you use strings here, you could concatenate them, and it would give you, obviously, you look down there and wait for it to run. I don't know why my machine's so slow. It would be AB. Alright, what were the other ones we wanted to do? Oh, okay, A minus B. Guess what A minus B is? This is something you should be able to get, because, just guessing, if you think about it a little while, because you saw the ASCII table, it goes in order, so it's A, B, C, D, blah, 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 blah. So A minus B, they should be right next to each other in the ASCII table, which means that when you subtract them, you should get a difference of 1. In this case, you'll see what it is. Oh, I didn't say minus. Okay. And you get -1, because B is slightly ahead of the A on the ASCII table, so it's slightly larger, so you get -1. Alright, next one. A minus B, A plus B. Alright, so A plus B, but 1 is a string. Alright, so what's going to happen? Remember, characters can act like kind of both. So, AB. Okay, so in this case, because you used a string, the only way to make this possible, because strings definitely aren't integers, is it for it to assume that you meant I want the string-like character A. Okay, now what would happen if you did this? Any guesses? And it has an error. Why does it have an error? Because it can't do anything. It definitely is not going to be integer because you have a string here, and you cannot. There's no such thing as minus when you do with strings. You use only plus to concatenate. You can't subtract strings. So that's why it's giving you an error. All right. So delete that. Excuse me. All right. So that's fine with characters. And let's see if we had anything else here. Boolean, we're not going to go through that right now. So if I really quickly go through these, because I don't know how to skip when I'm presenting. Alright, here we go. Methods and objects. Object, it's sort of a big leap when you talk about objects, and we'll definitely talk about them more later. But basically, you can think of objects for now as any sort of thing, like, for example, a toaster. What does it do? It toasts things. Okay, that was an analogy that I heard once from a course, a Java course. And you don't care how it toasts things, but it toasts things and it gets the job done for you, right? So it's something that you use in the kitchen, and it returns a toasted piece of bread, right? So toaster would be an object, and it's something that somebody else made. Okay, object is something somebody else made, and you just use that object to get a result. Use that object to get a result, but actually specifically use methods upon that object. So, for example, if we have a rectangle, okay, first of all, initialization is always with this structure. You have the type, you have the name, and you have to say equals new and that type. The only exception is strings, and strings are just special because I guess they're used so often. I don't know why. And then you sometimes have stuff within the parameters. I've called these arguments, although when you're technically talking about, in this specific case, you call them parameters. So there's stuff that goes in parameters, and this is basically construction of an object. Now this doesn't really help you. This just means that, okay, I'm going to prepare, it's like declaring int something, except instead of an int, it's like a complicated object. So int would be like primitive type, and then like rectangle. And notice that all non-primitive types, aka objects, are capital letters, right? You can't say rectangle, it won't recognize you. It won't recognize it. Rectangle is an object, and objects store certain data. So int, for example, you know that int's going to be a number. Well, objects is a little more complicated because they can store multiple things. For example, we saw that today the rectangle stored the x and y coordinates, and it stored the width and the height. And then there's other methods associated with that. So what is it really a method? Oh dear. Okay, there we go. For example, get height. Get height is a method. You say rect dot get height. Notice a few things. One is you're always declaring the name first, then with a dot. Dot is just standard, that's what you do. And then you have whatever the method is. Get height is called the method. There are a lot of methods that start with get. It's called a getter, right? So get height, get width, maybe get length for strings, get this, get that. Last thing, notice whenever you have, and this is very common for variable names as well, whenever you have two things, like say you want to say int initial value, right? Just declare that variable, right? The first letter of initial is, or anything like get, is always going to be lowercase, and this is just standard. It doesn't have to be, but this is what programmers do. And then the second one is uppercase. That's called camel case, and that's pretty standard. Lastly, never forget the parentheses. Whether they have arguments or not within them, get height does not. Getters generally don't have anything to put in them. Generally, you still have to use the parentheses, otherwise it won't understand it. That's just something that you do in coding. Alright. So set size, for example, is something that does have, if you want to say rect.set size, then in parentheses you'd say you'd say, like, actually, let's see, what does it take? Set size, int width, int height. See, look, this is the documentation, so I know that it takes 2 integers, and it's going to specify the width and height. So if I want to specify the width as like 2, height is 3, then I know the area of this rectangle will be 6. Alright, and by the way, when you do operators, for example 3 plus 4, this doesn't store anything because this is an operation. However, when you say rect.setSize, that's a setter. Okay, so that doesn't actually return any value. So you don't need to like initialize this to a variable. You don't need to say like int something because there's no value that returns. However, rect.getHeight, this one right here, this one is just like adding things together, whatever. You're not going to save this value. This is going to return an integer. and you it's not going to be saved unless you say like int or double height equals that, or you just print it out straight. Like that. Excellent. Alright. So we used the rectangle for an example because we thought that it was something that like you could visualize easily, but really what's really going to be important is string methods. So let's talk about string methods. String equals whatever, equals ABCD. Alright, let's try these in NetBeans. String str equals, and you know what? I don't care. Let's just, we can add spaces. Yeah, cool. Alright. Don't forget what's wrong. Oh my gosh. Oh, semicolon, right. Okay. So, that's a very important. Some of you guys ask for like, what's wrong with my code or whatever, right? NetBeans is very helpful. It will tell you what's wrong, basically. Well, sometimes you might not be able to interpret it, but if it's something like a semicolon, it'll actually tell you semicolon expected. Alright, so now you've declared the string and initialized it to this very weird string. Let's do str.substring. Actually, no, let's do .length first. And what's wrong with this? Well, oopsies. Okay, well, I didn't spell it right. What else is wrong with it? Hey, nothing's wrong with it. But there is a warning. And what does it say? It said, oh, should check the method return value. Okay, well, it's basically saying you didn't really do anything with this. You have this line of code, but it really doesn't do anything. You have to print it out, or say int, and it's always going to be integer, it's not going to be double, and a equals that. Okay, I'm just going to print it out, because I don't need to use that variable again. And then, oh, what's wrong? Oh, there's this, right, okay. Excellent. So now let's wait for my computer. And come on. Oh, 28, cool. So this was 28 letters long. Or, including the space is a string. Alright, the space counts as a character within the string. Alright, cool. So, now, let's do string.substring. Alright, how does substring work? Well, if you recall, indexes always start at 0. Very important, indexes always start at 0. So, if I just say substring 1, comma, 2, oh, there's an error. We're not going to run. What's the error? Oh, look. That was not on purpose. Alright. B. Alright. So what did this do? Well, it took the thing index, whoopsies. I didn't want to do that. So if I actually line this up, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. Oopsies. 9. So, and we'll comment this out. There, so now the compiler doesn't read it. So if A is at index 0, B is at index 1, okay, cool, substring 1, so we got the B. 2, remember, it's inclusive on the first, but exclusive on the second, so it's going to not include the index of the second, it's going to stop before that. So we just got B. Alright, if we said like 5, guess what it's going to be? Quiz yourself. And it's B, C, D, E, because it's going from 1 to 4. Whoops, 1 to 4. Alright, here's a question. What if we just said 1? I don't know if we emphasize this so much, but if you just put one argument, it's not going to give you an error. It'll interpret that as... It's going to interpret that as you just want till the end, basically. Another thing to note, what if you wanted substring -1? Well, what's that going to do? Now, notice there's no compiler error, right? So there's a difference between a compiler error, well, NetBeans will recognize it, and when you run it, things will be like, ah! So right now, red. Nothing, it didn't work, because it doesn't know what -1 index is. Okay. Alright, cool. That's substring. char@. So print line string dot, remember it's always dot char@, and I'm gonna do the char@0, sure. And need an extra parentheses there. Where's the char@0? Should be A. Let's see if it is. You guys probably know this already. A, good. Alright. What if I did char@20? I don't know if this is 20 units long. Okay, it's R. What if I said char@50? Whatever it give me. Because you have to be familiar with different kinds of errors, right? Alright, this will be... Okay, so this would... Java returned 1, it said. So, if you look at the Java API, it must say that, okay, if it has an index, then it'll return 1. I don't know. One of the things that you guys, or one of you were experimenting with was index of... remember I have to say string dot index of, and you were saying like, well, 0. Now remember, index of, everything else we put in numbers, but index of returns an index, other words, an integer. So index of returns an integer. So if it's actually looking for the place of 0. Well, there's no 0 in our string. We didn't like say 0 here. If we did, then that'd be okay. So what would happen? And it will give you -1. This is a case where build actually was successful, and it had a test case. Whoever wrote the method said, you know, I'm not going to have this break the computer. I'm just going to say if it can't find it, then it's going to be -1. So different kind of errors, but know that -1 isn't a possible value for this. There's no index -1. All right. Okay, let's see, what else do we have to do? Okay, scanner. Yes, last thing. Alright, so scanner, the reason why I saved scanner for last, and I believe you guys can do it, because it's basically what we've been doing so far. It's basically an object that is really cool, and you guys can do it. If you can't do it, then do the homework without it, but at least try. You have to import it, and remember not before the package. That's before the class. And remember, same way you import a rectangle, you have to say import java dot. And this time, rectangle was AWT. This is util. Just different Java libraries. And then say scanner, and it has to be capital scanner and semicolon. Alright, so now we've imported it. Excellent. And there's a warning because we actually haven't used it yet. So we have to declare something that says scanner, and you can call it really whatever you want, scan. I've seen most often in, because you're taking something in, so in is just my variable name. Scanner is my type. Scanner is the object. Equals new scanner. Okay, right, you have to do that. And this is when the arguments go. What you're going to use is system.in. That's something that you just have to type in right now. You can also like have a file name here, and it will scan in the file, but what you're going to use is system.in. That's the user typing input. Alright, oops, no bracket. Okay, so now there's methods associated with scanner. What is it saying? Definitely scanners. Whatever. Alright. Scanner has some methods in the next int. And you can see this in the presentation also. We didn't get to it, but it's there. In next int, there's like there's an next double, etc., etc. And it'll be expecting an int or a double, whatever. So we'll just use in.next int. And we'll send that to num equals in.next int. Notice the I is capital and the N is not. And then let's just system .out.println, and let's just print out num. And let's see what this does. If it, oh, maybe you have to, oh, okay, I had to click there, I thought it was gonna, alright, let's just, oh no, it was looking for an integer. 9, okay, there we go. Actually, I forgot to, this is my bad. What you generally do is you, you generally say like, enter number or something like that. That's generally standard. Okay, I always forget to do that. So then it's more clear when it's ready to run. See there, enter number. Click there and then like say something. And notice that I typed in 2 and then it returned 2. I just returned whatever you type. Alright. Let's do something a little harder. This video is almost done. But let's go and oh, I never did this. So we'll go over this later. Okay, practice exercise. Actually, I'll have you do this. Okay, we'll have you do this later. Next lesson. Last thing I'm going to demo is this one because we didn't get to this. Declare a string initialized to a random string of characters. Print out 0 if the length is even or 1 if the length is odd. How do you do that? Now, we haven't learned if statements yet. And you don't need if statements because I said print out 0 if the length is even or 1 if the length is odd. Well, what you're going to use is mod, right? Mod is actually a very useful tool, and it's not always obvious when you should use it, but it's very nice. So I'm not going to... Alright, so let's just say system string equals, and I don't know. And I don't know how long this is, right? Alright, so system.9 length. What am I going to do? Well, length is 0, length is odd. Alright, so I'm going to mod by 2. So if I say string.length mod percent sign 2. What's it going to give me? Well, if it's mod 2, what should it be? What should it be if it's even? So any even divided by 2 is going to be a whole number. So then the modding it should be 0. Alright, so if I just say print out that mod 2, it should be good. Nothing else to do because it didn't require it. So let's see. And 0. Hey, look, the length is even. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. It was even. Alright. If I add one more thing, it should give me 0. And, oh no, sorry, it should give me 1. Because remainder is 1, meaning something and 1/2. Alright. Thank you very much, and please tell me if you have any trouble with scanner. If you really can't get it, just remember the declaration is pretty much the same as any object. But if you can't get it, don't worry about it. Just don't use it and declare something, a string like this or whatever for the homework problems. Alright. Thank you, and I'll see you we'll see you after the Thanksgiving week.